There's been a focus on veterans in the last week with President Obama's $5 billion jobs creation program that helps younger vets transitioning from military to civilian life. But many of the nation's older vets who served in conflicts like World War II and Vietnam are facing a different transition. Mike and Scott of WHYY's Behavioral Health Desk reports on an effort by the Delaware Hospice to help them. Mike.
Mark, 1 in 4 Americans facing the end of life today are veterans, and they often experience specific challenges related to their military service. Delaware Hospice is emerging as a national leader in helping vets and their families with this difficult transition.
Military service, especially during wars, changes people and often has lifelong effects.
Veterans have often gone through a traumatic experience when they were very young. This is a sentinel experience at a very formative time of their growth.
The effects of this life-changing experience can become more pronounced toward the end of life.
Veterans can sometimes be very stoic and not communicate how much pain or discomfort they're having. They also may have instilled in them a respect for authority and not being willing to complain about things, may not always communicate what their needs are.
Cindy Ann Smith of Seaford says that certainly holds true for her father, James Russo. He's a World War II veteran living with lung cancer who's receiving hospice care.
He never complains about pain, and he definitely feels that any aspect of medication or glasses even are crutches, and he does everything in his power to not have a crutch.
Knowing what questions to ask and when to follow up, even if a patient claims they are fine, is key to care more effectively for veterans, which make up about 25% of patients at Delaware Hospice. Staff now ask patients to fill out a military checklist when first entering into care.
What kind of service were you in? Where were you? What was the time frame? What were your experiences? All aimed at trying to get us to be mindful of what that experience may have been like and what impacts it may have brought for them.
Knowing the military background of a patient often provides important clues for doctors and nurses.
One of our nurses talked about the experience of watching a patient who she believed was having physical pain. And as she intervened with this gentleman, she started to understand that some of his actual body movements in the bed and what he was experiencing at nighttime really were related to how he reacted from a military experience. So no amount of real medical intervention was going to help him until we identified the emotional pain that he was in and got the ability to talk that through.
The hospice has received federal grants to educate staff on veterans' issues, to implement new strategies, and it is also the site for a pilot study on veterans and storytelling. The study explores whether telling and recording their story is helpful to veterans at the end of life. Cindy Ann Smith says it made a great difference in her father's life. As he talked about his military service during World War II, he reevaluated his role.
Dad had always said he didn't feel that he had given much to the war effort because he never saw combat. He didn't carry a gun, that he was doing just research and working in the aeronautical division. But now the more that we talked to him and through the interview process, we realized that his contribution was huge.
Andrew Himmelstein says veterans who participated in the storytelling project reported that it improved their quality of life and their general outlook.
For some, it was a sense of making peace with traumatic events that they had experienced, maybe some of the pain and suffering that's inflicted during the course of war. And I think that's a very important sense of closure they got.
Cindy Ann Smith says her father never talked about the details of his military service before, and getting to know this story has brought her family closer.
Sharing this information and learning about it has really opened our eyes to another aspect of this man that we're loving and enjoying being with, and he's had so many wonderful stories to share in the past. This is a whole new avenue for us.
The staff at Delaware Hospice say the types of issues they are learning about aging veterans at the end of life will help them as the next generation of veterans age, Mark.
And Mike, and there really are implications here for healthcare in general.
Absolutely. If you think about all of the soldiers who are coming back from Afghanistan, who've returned from Iraq, they typically get services at a VA hospital for some time, but then they enter the general healthcare providing field. So it is really important for all kinds of different doctors to ask about military service. A lot of soldiers, former soldiers, experience issues such as post-traumatic stress. Some of them are in a great deal of pain. So this is going to be an important topic in healthcare in general going forward.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Mike and Scott of the WHYY Behavioral Health Desk. And you can see more on this story when you go to the Health and Science or Delaware pages of newsworks.org.